Welcome to Vitalify Unplugged. You're listening to your hosts, Gree and Steph.
In this podcast, we talk about everything health and well-being, science and technology, and ancient wisdom.
This is for the quirky humans navigating the messy middle, looking for the path to true vitality.
It's for the curious minds and tired bodies looking for clarity, energy, and inspiration that works your way.
Have you ever felt like your brain is buzzing, but your body just can't keep up? You're doing all the things, the green smoothies, the weights, the sleep hygiene, the supplements, and yet you wake up tired and go to bed wired and feel like you're running on fumes. I want you to know it's not your fault.
And for those of us who've spent decades solving problems, building things, parenting people or projects or AI even, this fatigue hits differently. It's not just physical, it actually becomes existential. So today we want to talk about how we've personally are or have learned to upgrade our energy, not by doing more, but by being different.
So, welcome to this episode of Vitalify Unplugged, where we are exploring the messy middle, not as a breakdown, but as a turning point. So, this is a chance for you to stop pushing and start listening so we can shift from depletion to devotion. So, Gree, how are you today? And what do you think about this? Or what's been happening?
Energized. You know, I'm always energized. I'm quite excited today because I had a really good night's sleep. Thanks to some sleep hygienes that I've put in place. But then I got up 5 o'clock on the dot, went up, did my little qigong, did my little strengthening exercises, wired. I just jumped out of bed. I did my little Mel Robbins, high five to myself in the mirror. And then I walked up to Monument Hill, which is a couple of minutes here. And my dog and I watched the sunrise, which was beautiful. While I was doing another Mel Robbins routine with eight statements that I start most days with, which is starting by saying, today is going to be a great day. And it really feels so good. But how about you, Steph? How was your morning? Different, I know, but...
I'm probably on the opposite end of the scale. I had a bit of a rough sleep. We lost our cat. Life's been chaotic, really chaotic.
You didn't lose your cat the way I thought you lost your cat, though.
Oh no, she's in cat jail and we've got to go get her out. But she's not gone. I know, but you know what? That whole stress of not knowing whether she is gone or not. And so anyway, yes, I'm on a different energy level today, and I know that when I don't do the things that you're doing, my energy levels, my mindset, and my brain are all so different. So that's an interesting place to be while recording what is real energy. What energy in there.
I don't know about you, but I know that I've got a beautiful sunny day here today, and that gives me so much energy. It just sunshine. Just seeing the sun come up. And I know it's pissing down where you are, right?
Well, it's just settled down a bit, but it has been raining all morning. But I actually really quite like the rainy mornings, but it does just mean that my morning routine is a bit more like, stay in bed and keep nice and cuddly under the covers. So, yeah, but you're right. When the sun's out, you're up and you're ready. Whereas
I'm telling you guys, it was really raining there because I could hear the rain at Steph's place through the ether. Anyway, let's get started with this for proper.
So energy isn't just like what we're saying about your morning routine or how many steps you've done. It kind of lives in your cells. And so even though I've had that kind of morning, I still am showing up and I'm still giving my energy and giving my best. So it kind of lives in your nervous system, and becomes a part of your story. Even, things influence it, like your hormones, which, is I'm in that phase, that perimenopausal phase where
That one,
things
that
are
word.
changing. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and, I don't think, like, humans were never designed to be 24/7, right? So,
Mm.
there is we've got the circadian rhythm, we've got, different things that influence our energy, but somewhere along the way, I have certainly confused productivity with value.
It's so easy to do, but I do want to like take one step back because I know that another thing that energizes both of us is like getting on these calls and doing
Yeah,
these recordings. But
yeah.
back
Which
to
I
the sort of
love doing, and you're right, that is energizing. Super.
it is definitely energizing, and hopefully we can energize other people and wake you up in the morning. But speaking of waking up, sometimes when we wake up in the morning one day, talking for myself, menopausal or perimenopausal, overstimulated, deeply tired. Obviously, I'm on the other side at 62. Still got the energy though. Just saying. But sometimes we wonder where our spark went, and I have been through those dips. I don't think I've never been through burnout, real burnout, but I should probably have been. But I'm going, I've got energy. Let's do something. But our spark didn't leave. It just got buried under years of ignoring our own rhythms, and that's what we're talking about today. I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think listening, listening can be a interesting word, because you can listen, but then there's sort of like active listening and deep listening, and you know, um, deciphering the codes in what you're hearing and what that triggers for you as well. I sit in an
Mm,
Indigenous circle, and they really
mm,
encourage us to listen, not
mm,
just to what the humans speak, but what are the animals saying, what are the trees saying, what's the earth saying, what are the insects
mm,
saying, and not as in a language of exchange as the humans do, but listening to what that triggers inside of you, and
yeah.
and help. And in doing that, I find that things like brain fog, or like that afternoon crash, are like they're kind of like feedback centers of something that I need to address, that
Mm,
come from that
the
listening.
true,
So
true, true. It's you just reminded me. I am so I'm just about to release my book. It's happening. Done the
very
final
excited,
designs, and
very excited.
there's a stretch in there. So it's in the motorbike theme, full throttle and talk. And there's a stretch in there where I was riding through the forest in Norway, and I there was just me and the motorbike. And yes, no, it's not very quiet. It's a Harley, but with the full throttle, it wasn't actually my bike. Somebody lent it to me. Thank you. Um, but I just could. It was so quiet. So it was kind of like listening to the silence that I felt embraced by the trees, by the forest, by nature. So it was just such a great thing. And you come out of it and you go grounded, but still energized in a way. Anyway, uh,
Oh,
that's not.
before we move on to the next section,
Yeah,
I believe nature can energize us and there's even now science and research to back up,
absolutely.
forest bathing in Japan, and and being there's lots of social prescription now happening in the US, where they prescribe you to go walk in nature to help
I think it's so
lift the brain
important.
fog.
Yeah,
Because
we forget.
evolutionarily,
Yeah,
before we had houses and buildings and things, we lived with nature, and that was our source of energy, I guess.
yeah.
Long
So,
before tech came along.
so speaking of living in nature, so this is a park just around the corner here, and it's like a monument hill. It's like a celebratory thing, and I discovered somebody sleeping there in a tent today.
Oh,
Don't know if it was out of necessity or out of opportunity, but it was kind of interesting. He was definitely very close to nature. I said hi.
yeah.
How are
Yeah,
you going?
yeah.
And I
Oh,
shared some of my energy with him. But let's switch over to, you know, um, because of my little sort of tech whisper and interest in tech, I do love technology, but it can drain you. And, you know, as a workaholic, I do tend to spend an awful lot of time on my computer. And over the last few days, I've been fighting with AI again, but don't tell anybody, because that's what but let me do the fighting with AI, and then I will share my wins with you. But and technology can either drain you, or it can serve you or charge you, if you like. So, I have a Fitbit here that I kind of wear all the time. It's my watch, but I also go in and I check my heart rate, and makes me happy when it's under 50, and all that
Under
sort of stuff.
50. Your heart rate's
Yeah,
under 50.
yeah.
Wow, that's
Not
quite
now,
low.
because I'm doing this.
No.
But you
Oh.
do that. There's other technologies. I don't have it, but it's really about looking at your stress level and all that sort of stuff. Um and it's kind of interesting to look at things like heart rate variation, how that decides on your moods and things like that. So a few years ago, when I had a health tech, we were actually working with somebody to look at how we could use heart rate variation from these kind of devices
Mm,
to assess when somebody was about to go into depression or anxiety and that sort of stuff. So it's interesting what tech can do in the sense of energy and moods and all that sort of stuff. So, it's but it can also get in the way, and it can take over. And if we think of tech as these things that we're just scrolling, I try not to do that. I do play my solitaire though, and I must admit. But yeah. And for me, it's interesting because we're all different, right? And for my brain to be able to play a game of solitaire, that actually quietens my brain. So I can do
mm,
that right up until I go to bed, but I don't take my device to bed. But I can do
mm,
that. That shuts me down. Or watching some stupid program on TV, that
mm,
shuts down my brain because it's always hyperactive. Anyway,
mm.
that was me on a little bit on tech, but let's move
Well,
right on, I
well,
think.
I mean, what you're saying to me is like if we use it as a tool, it can be a
Yeah,
mirror and it can help you in the healing. And I
sure.
know that
Yeah.
I've spoken about this before, but here in Victoria, they are looking at ways that people can have wearable tech that
Mm,
then they feed back to the community health centre and it tries to keep them out of the emergency department, particularly
yeah,
for people with diabetes and going into hypo. So,
yeah,
there is this
absolutely.
absolute, this beautiful way that we
Yeah,
could marry it into
yeah,
keeping us healthy. But
yeah.
yeah, we can also get obsessed and focus on that rather than actually doing the things that need to be
Yeah,
done
exactly. Yeah,
sometimes. Yeah.
yeah.
But I guess, you know,
From moving from tech
potentially,
to nourishment.
well, yeah, and some people, and I might subscribe to this a little bit, but rely on caffeine and grit
What do you mean?
and to get through.
You want to see my morning part, the other part of my morning routine? A pot of
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah. Well, I
It's
have
black
two
coffee.
coffee.
It's good for you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there's research to say that black coffee is a good diet, keeps your sugar levels at bay, and prevents diabetes. But I have mine with milk, so I'm not necessarily in the same boat.
No, no,
I
and
definitely think energy, sustainable energy does come from inside the cells, and I think
absolutely.
it can work its way out.
Mm,
So I do have a bit of I take my CBD oil, I take my omega oils, I have a shot of apple cider vinegar, and I drink loads of water. Like, I do have that little routine. And when I
mm,
do that, again, I know that I'm nourishing my cells. And I've been doing that for about a year. And in the last week, funnily enough, I've been getting comments about how good my skin looks, how good my hair looks, how fit my body is, despite I have sort of let my morning exercise routine slip. But that
mm.
little cellular nourishment part has been maintained. And
Yeah,
despite not necessarily getting out and lifting my weights every morning, I'm still maintaining this level of, health
yeah,
that's
yeah.
coming from the inside out.
And I guess we've also both learned, and we know this intuitively, right? That movement isn't just about fitness. It's actually about flow. It's about, I don't know, it's about connecting your body and your mind in a way, isn't it? So you know,
I
I
really
guess,
like, sorry to interrupt, but I really
no, no.
like that little phrase we've got here, movement as pleasure, not punishment. And I think that's what you're trying to say is like when
Yeah,
we
yeah,
move in a way that feels good for
yeah.
us, that doesn't come from a, do this and that will work type of, you know,
And if you think back at the times that you're happiest, I mean, now I do some movement in the morning out of need, but but I've kind of been treating my body as a machine, and I've been, doing football,
lots of people
playing team
do.
sports, all that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
because it makes me feel good. Team sports make me feel really,
Oh,
really good.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I had to retire from football, or soccer as you call it, at about 53 because I had so many injuries. Now I'm kind of injury free and I'm pain free, so I could go back, but I'm like too much time commitment. But I do move, and I do move with intention. And I just want to talk about something that I know we both love. I'm a bit of a
Dancing.
dance, a bit of freedom, a bit of
I
fun.
love it.
And I think that
Love
is
a
so,
boogie.
so important. And I just think sometimes Dave and the dog just goes, what the heck? The dog's just looking at us. I did
Yeah.
have a dog in the olden days, like my first dog here in Australia. She used to dance with me, like a big bull mastiff, and she'd jump up and dance with me. But but I do think that it's important to do that. And probably still, I know you dance as well. You dance away, so
all
but you,
the time. And my kids are now dancers too, and so we often joke around and say we've got a stage. So in our house there's always a little stage somewhere, and we all have to sit and watch who's dancing. And my kids are always trying to teach me TikToks and what have you, but
the
for
flossing thing.
oh yeah, I still actually can't do that very well.
I
But
can't
yeah,
do
I
that.
will often when I'm cooking dinner put the Alexa on, play some music, and like
Yeah,
just boogie away while I'm
yeah,
chopping and cooking, and
yeah.
it really helps me reset. And there's research now coming out that dance can is almost as effective, or they're saying as effective as antidepressant medication. So
I swear by it. I
movement,
really do.
yeah. I mean,
I
the
really do.
endorphins, the serotonin, everything that comes from the movement and the
Yeah,
freedom and the
yeah,
fun, like the joy you get,
yeah, yeah.
it's
And
just
yeah, the energy
uplifting.
you get from it, and it's you know, um, as long as we're conscious about things, but we don't push ourselves too far hard, because I think one of the things, at least for my little butterfly mind, is that if I make habits too rigid,
Yeah,
it becomes a chore.
yeah.
And we don't want chores. We want to be kind to ourselves. And I think that's really, really
Mm,
important. I mean, we want to make sure that we um, nurture our body from the inside and the outside, and we have
yeah,
some joy and happiness in what we're doing, but also be kind to ourselves when we don't do it. So, like I do my morning routine most days,
yeah,
but if I don't, it's okay, right? It's
yeah.
okay. So, because otherwise you just go, oh no, another habit. And I know there's all this atomic habits and 5 habits and
Yeah, yeah.
tiny habits and
5
all
a.m.
that sort of
club.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just going, yeah, but it doesn't necessarily work for me, but I can do it. And I'd set my own routines and things like that. But I might go sometimes 5 days and not do my
Mm,
exercise, but it's
mm.
okay because I pick it up again. I
Yeah.
haven't lost the
Well,
habit.
if
I
you
pick it up
can
again.
do that, that's good. Sometimes for
Yeah.
me, I can lose it and it's like, you got to reel it back in. But I
Yeah.
often change as well. Sometimes I will, work out hard, and then other times I'll be playing sport and
Yeah.
train for the sport, although buggered
Yeah.
up my knee at the moment.
Yeah.
So my netball
Oopsie
days
doopsie.
are limited. Yeah. So it's back to yoga, Pilates, workouts. And I love burning calories. I actually love a good workout, but sometimes it's not what I need. Sometimes I just need to dance in the kitchen. So,
But
and you
but
don't
but
have to
dance
earn your energy. But
but
I do
dancing in the
think,
kitchen can be a workout, is what I'm
yeah,
saying,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Yep.
You don't have
And
to
I
go
think
to the
when
gym.
no, but I don't go to the gym, but I do love a workout. And
Yeah,
and I guess it's more about something that's interesting to me at the moment. It's not necessarily about earning that energy, but how
yeah,
to stop leaking it out.
yeah, absolutely. So, but and it's not really about hacks. It's about rhythm. It's about rhythm that's
Yeah.
attuned with how your body is.
Yeah.
Um, and choosing nourishment, I guess, over noise. Like all
Mm,
these things that we're being told to do, and I'm going,
yeah.
but,
It's a
but if you
lot.
can do
It's
it,
a
so
lot.
it's a lot to do, and it's like,
Mm,
oh, I've got this tracker. I should do 10,000 steps a day. I don't
yeah.
always do 10,000 steps, but when I'm standing at my desk, I'm actually doing some steps, right? So I've
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
stand-up desk. But you can do that, and tracking things like your heart rate variation can be good for you to see how your body is reacting to things. You know, also nourishing your body with oils, with rest, with food, that sort of stuff, and yeah, um,
I feel like it's also a little bit, especially in this messy middle of life. Maybe
yeah,
when you're
the one that
younger
we're
or
all in. You mean?
the one, yeah. So, like, you can, for me, I like to cherry pick things that work in this season, and it can
Mm,
evolve and change, and that way you're kind of honoring your energy as sacred. And you're allowed to protect that, because whatever's
mm,
happening at that time in your life, maybe you do need to go and work out and cut off a few kilos just to get your health back on track, as in your heart, as in your
yeah,
blood pressure or your cholesterol or
yeah.
whatever. And that's the season. But then in other parts, maybe it's more about your mental health and feeling good and feeling joy and being able to receive that. So that's a different
Yeah,
type of energy that needs
yeah,
protecting and
absolutely.
nourishing.
Mm.
So
Yeah, yeah,
I think,
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
really about listening
yeah,
to your body, sitting in nature, feeling what's triggering and what's coming up inside, and then
mm.
applying tools that maybe you need a wearable, maybe you subscribe to
Whatever you
some
need.
tech
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I use
So,
technology to do my exercise in the morning. I watch YouTube. I watch this
mm,
wonderful group called Svelte Training, and I go,
mm,
which one will I pick today? It's 10 to 15 minutes maximum. It's
beautiful.
targeted things. So
Yeah.
that's it. But let's try and pull it all together. And we're all
Well, I first of all, before we completely finish, I believe one thing is true for us is our energy is sacred and we're
yeah,
allowed to protect it. So I
definitely
would challenge our listeners and audience to kind of tune in and listen to what's the one thing that's draining your energy, and what is the thing that could restore it or nourish it, honor it,
today. Yeah.
recognize it, become aware of it, and transmute it into something that's healing or beneficial to your time and place and energy levels.
Cool. And next week, we're going to be exploring neurodivergence or ADHD. Not that I'm not diagnosed. Remember that? Overstimulation and why you're not lazy. You're
Mm.
actually overloaded. We are all overloaded.
Oh, so
So
good.
that's next week. But for now, just take a deep breath. And remember that energy isn't something you chase, it is something that you cultivate.
And I think you deserve the energy that feels like you.
You,
Thanks,
that's good.
Gray.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Oh my. Thanks for joining us on Vitalify Unplugged. If this episode sparked something in you, share it with a friend. Hit follow or subscribe. And don't forget, we love hearing from you. So send us a message and tell us what's lighting you up. See you in the next episode.